What's happening, everybody? Welcome into the Wilbur and Gold Show. I am Will Dalton, a.k.a. Wilbur and Gold, and I just sent off a snap. Let me get that sent real fast. Welcome to the Wilbur and Gold Show. I just said that. It is Thursday, and this is not a false alarm. This is not a trick. It's not a prank. Football is back. Let me say it one more time for the kids in the back. Football is back. And I'm fired up about it. We just had the first full weekend of legit college football, not a bunch of no-names playing that we've never heard of before, which was 2 weekends ago. But the big guns played this weekend. Did not go so well for my Tar Heels over at Virginia Tech. But what a game, though. What a game to start off the season for the Hokies and the Tar Heels. I mean, between the big again, Tar Heel fans so I could give a fuck less about what happened at Virginia Tech for Virginia Tech. But I got to admit, the Enter Sandman thing was pretty cool. It was a pretty nice way to christen kind of the opening weekend for, the big guns in college football. Oklahoma just was able to hold their ass against Tulane. I don't know what the hell happened there. I mean, and again, you're naturally going to hear the conversations when you see a, big top seed get a little bit of a squeaker by an unranked team that you shouldn't even be in the same conversation with. You're going to get a lot of, blowback against the top seeds, like, oh, they're overrated. Oh, I mean, maybe so. I didn't watch close enough to be able to make that call. But you got to give credit to Tulane. I mean, let's not just spend all our time shitting on Oklahoma and calling them overrated and calling Spencer Rattler overrated. I mean, give some credit to Tulane. Their offensive line play was very good. I mean, hell, it was trending on Twitter there for a little while in the first half. Their offensive line play was good. I don't know their quarterback's name, but he played very well. Just all in all, a great opening. I mean, forget the fact that you lost. Just the fact that you lost by 40-35, that final. That in itself for Tulane should be a win to open the season. Again, against number 2 Oklahoma. And so that happened. Alabama absolutely obliterated Miami. Bryce Young looked like, Spencer Rattler, quarterback for Oklahoma, up to this point has probably been the majority favorite to win the Heisman. I would like to, again, not a great open for the Tar Heels. I'd like to have Sam Howell in that conversation. I'd like to think he's in the top 3 or 4 for that. Probably 3. I'd probably say Bryce Young, Spencer Rattler, Sam Howell, and there's probably somebody I'm missing that I just forgot. But, Bryce Young looks like he might have taken over that spot from Spencer. I mean, again, it's 1 week. And that's another thing I don't like is when we get a weekend and you got nothing but, sports analysts just going, oh, should we be worried about so? It's like, relax. It's 1 week. Calm down. It'll be all right. Let them breathe a little bit first. Let them get their feet under them a little bit first. Then we'll make those types of calls. But, yeah, Bryce Young looked – and I think he's a freshman. This is what I'll say. Bama, there's always the speculation with Alabama, are they going to be Alabama this year? Are they going to be maybe they'll be good, but not as good as like a team that was very good. Bama was Bama. Bama is going right back to being Bama. I mean, that's the thing is like Alabama and somebody, it might have been Lewis Riddick for ESPN. And I love Lewis Riddick, by the way. He's probably one of my favorite people to listen to over at ESPN. He's just very he's very straightforward. He's very articulate. Not to say that others aren't, but he's very well informed. He presents things in a business way, if that makes sense. Like not just this guy's going to be better. Like it's not like a hot take type of way he puts things. It's he's got experience kind of in the trenches. I've heard a lot of people said he should be like an NFL GM or something of that nature. Maybe he will be eventually. he puts things in a very practical way that makes sense, and so I love to listen to him. He put it. I'm pretty sure it was him that put it this way: Alabama doesn't retool or rebuild; they just reload. Like, it's just going to be one crop after the other, because usually, and I like to use the Tar Heels in 2009 in basketball as a great example of this, and there's other teams where you could have your own teams that do this, especially in college, because it's 4 years, less so now, but you have players come in for a couple of years, handful of years, and then they peak out or they graduate and they're on to the draft or they're on to whatever they're going to do in life. Carolina 2009, if you remember, ran the freaking table in the national tournament. March Madness that year was one of the best college basketball teams we've ever fucking seen. I mean, they set a record. They beat every team in every game of the tournament by double digits, including the national championship against Michigan State. And then the next year, now, I will say this to their credit, because they lost everybody. Tyler Hansbrough, Ty Lawson, Wayne Ellington, Danny Green was on that team. Bobby Frazier to a lesser degree. But they lost their whole starting lineup, essentially, outside of Deion Thompson. They were not, obviously, they were completely stripped and depleted the following year in 2010. And impressively enough, still went on to go to the NIT final. They lost. I forget who they lost to. But it's just most teams have to retool or rebuild after that apex year. Alabama doesn't do that. They just reload. Duke is kind of like that in basketball to a lesser degree. Alabama, I think, has that more mastered at the football level. As far as competing for a national championship, Duke, it's not to say they're not good. And again, I'm a Tar Heel fan, but I am able to take the Carolina glasses off and put the objective ones on when I need to. And I will say that, Duke, while they are good at reloading to be good for the most part, I don't think they're as good as Alabama in football to reload on a national championship level, because they haven't up to this point. It's like they're good. They're in the top part of the rankings, kind of, sort of, but they never really make it deep in the tournament consistently. Yeah, so college football, first big weekend this weekend, and then obviously NFL starts tonight. Cowboys at Tampa Bay. The banner will go up. Tom Brady will do his thing yet again for another year. And that's another thing you're going to learn about me. I hate the Cowboys with all my heart. I don't hate many. Like if you ask me which NBA team I hate the most, I couldn't tell you, because I don't really have a team that I hate. If you obviously, being a Yankee fan, I hate the Red Sox. Being a Carolina fan, I hate Duke. But being a Panther fan in NFL, I don't really have a team that is kind of their arch. I guess obviously in the division you got the Saints and the Falcons, and the Buccaneers. But it's not like I guess the Falcons kind of were at one point, kind of. But see, I will say back in that little stretch when the Panthers, in those years kind of surrounding when the Panthers, went 15-1, Cam Newton won the MVP, and we went to the Super Bowl, lost obviously by the Broncos, and Von Miller destroyed everything. Kind of the years surrounding that and leading up to that run, I kind of would say that the Seahawks were kind of our rival, in a way. I don't know why, it was. Like, I remember one of my buddies, shout out Austin Buchanan, that I played college baseball with. I remember he's big Carolina Panther fan. He told me that I think he went to a Carolina Seattle game in Seattle. And I'm pretty sure he told me, I don't know if it was him or he saw somebody. It might have been him, because he's a diehard fan. He was wearing a Panther jersey, and he went into the bathroom over there at the Seahawks stadium. And it's dangerous. It was dangerous, apparently. he was getting some words thrown at him. Apparently, like it was just dangerous to be wearing a Panther uniform, in that stadium. So yeah, I would say Panthers Seahawks were a rivalry there for a little while. Not really so much anymore, I don't think. But God, I fucking hate the Cowboys. I can't stand them. I can't stand them. Their fan base is so fucking delusional. It's very, and the media takes the bait every fucking year. Every year they take the bait. Because technically the Cowboys do have a top-tier offense, again, on paper. They have, in recent memory, on paper, had one of the better offenses with Ezekiel, and more so now, but they've had it for a handful of years here in recent memory. But the problem is, whether it's something on the field or something off the field, and it's usually more so something off the field, something will go wrong. You know the song for Stephen A. Smith, what can go wrong will go wrong, and they're going to fucking blow it. Whether they blow it in the first round of the playoffs, if they make the playoffs, or they don't make the playoffs. Usually it's that one. And it's just funny how the media continues to make them kind of sort of some years more so than others. But to some degree, they are always somehow kind of a contender. And and I think I told you this the other week on the last episode. I don't care if Tom Brady were the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys or Patrick Mahomes was the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. I don't care. Until I'm to the point now, until the Cowboys actually go do it, and then we can have those conversations, I will not put anything on them. I will not call them a contender. Maybe they'll make the playoffs. They'll blow it in the first round, most likely. I will never, ever put the Cowboys as a contender until they actually go do it. I can't, I won't do it. And I thoroughly, because it happens every year, I thoroughly enjoy watching the media do this every stinking year. They fall for it every year. So, I say all that to say this. Tampa Bay is going to absolutely obliterate Dallas tonight. I'm hoping for a similar, I'm hoping for a Bama-Miami type scenario where it's just straight up annihilation. Because again, I mean, Tampa Bay brought everybody back. They actually got to have OTAs this year. And so they're probably going to be a little better this year, all those things considered. And while Dak will be back this year for the Cowboys, and they do have a solid offense on paper, it doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. They will get obliterated tonight. They will blow, I'll re-air this every single time this year that the Cowboys have a goof moment, either on the field or off the field. It'll most likely be off the field for the most part. And then when they either don't make the playoffs because they go 8-8 or whatever it is, again, or when they scrape into the playoffs, they're not going to win the division. I'll say that again, because a lot of people have Dallas still winning the NFC East, the NFC least, as Skip Bayless likes to call it on Undisputed. I won't do it. I won't call them a contender. I won't say they'll win the division because I think Washington is just way too good. And I get it, right? I love how people are shitting on Washington. Like, they're being slept on. In fact, I'm pretty sure Greeny the other day had Washington as, like, his biggest Super Bowl sleeper just because they got one of the best defenses in the league. And if Ryan Fitzpatrick, and I always felt a lot of people are shitting on Fitzmagic because that's just what people do is they – anyway, I think I always felt that Fitzmagic and Ron Rivera connection would work very well. I'm not saying Washington won't still end up picking up maybe somebody else that could be potentially available at quarterback if they have, like, if Deshaun Watson, if something like, but just an all-out clear-cut better option. But Ryan's Fitzmagic is going to be just like, I don't know why we're sleeping on him. I really don't. So, and you pair him up with McLaurin and others, and obviously they don't have an elite receiving core, but McLaurin's good. Curtis Samuel's good. I forget who their running back is, but he's good. Their defense is one of the best in the league, which that, if you recall, outside of Cam Newton and Greg Olsen, and, timely good play by Jonathan Stewart in the backfield, outside of Cam Newton and that stuff, the defense was the other claim to fame, and probably the main claim to fame outside of Cam Newton for the Panthers in that 15-1 Super Bowl run. So I hope to re-air that later on in the season, because it's just, again, this is a quarterback-driven league, so we'll see how it pans out. Obviously, the Panthers didn't finish the job, but it's just it's still, the point still stands. They got there. They put themselves in the position to win it. They didn't, but it's just the fact that with an elite defense like that Ron Rivera has built now for Washington, with Luke Kuechly 2.0, a.k.a. Chase Young, if Fitzmagic can do his thing enough, Greeny might be right. Like, they might. That's what I'm saying. I do not need – they have so much more of a chance to win that division over the Cowboys. Like, it's not even funny. Like, what's funny is how people just continue to take the bait on the Cowboys. So, football is back tonight. I don't know what time, but I'm just excited, man. I'm excited, again, for the football. Just straight up the football. I'm excited for the fantasy football. Had my draft the other night. I'm excited for the food, the beverage, the beers, the drink. Like, I'm just excited, the get-togethers to watch the games. I'm gonna, again, I told you this last time, I'm gonna be moving into an apartment of my own in 3.5 weeks from today, October 4th, and so it's going to be fun to, have little get-togethers and food and things, in my own place for football season this year. That's going to be exciting. And just the vibes of, fall's coming, the weather's starting to cool off, all the things I raved about last time. You can catch that in the in the Wilbur and Gold Show playlist. This is episode 31, by the way, so throw that out there. But, yeah, man, it just feels really good to have football back. What else? What else did I want to get into? So the Matrix 4, aka Matrix Resurrections trailer dropped a little while, about an hour or so ago. I've only watched it once. I need to watch. Matrix is one of those things you got to watch it a couple of times to kind of get it through your system on what actually the fuck you're watching. I'll say this: I like Matrix. I'm a fan. I'm a basic fan though. Like, I don't know all the ins and outs, but I know the basics. Now, the first Matrix was always my favorite. Always gonna be. I didn't care as much for the second and third, but I really enjoyed the first one. This one has the vibe. Obviously, it looks like Neo comes back. Now, what we don't know, and again, it's the Matrix, so you don't know. He comes back as somebody else. I mean, it's him, but he's got a different identity now, and he's like remembering all these things, little flashes from way back when. And he's like, why am I seeing that? Like, almost like kind of a callback to the first Mate, which is what I was hoping for, because I didn't care as much for the second and third one. I don't even remember what the fuck half happened in the second and third one. But I liked the first one a lot, and so I was kind of hoping we get a lot of callbacks to that one, and it looks like that's going to be the case. It looks like Morpheus might be played by somebody else this time. I don't know if that's a younger Morpheus or if it's somebody completely different. I don't know. Trinity's back. It almost looks like Neo and Trinity are both back, but they're somebody else. And they're like remembering little flashbacks to way back when they meet and they're like, have we met before? It's kind of that type of deal. And again, it almost looks like they're going to get back into the Matrix the same way they got into it initially. So very interesting. I'm excited for that. That comes out December 22nd. I got to go watch the trailer some more. I think I'll leave you with this. We've been talking a little football. So Cam Newton was cut by the Patriots since we last spoke. I did not see that one coming. We talked about how Cam and Mac were pretty much neck and neck for the QB1 job over New England. It was a shock, and then obviously all the COVID complications probably were a big part of it, regardless of what Bill Belichick will tell you, which I wouldn't expect him to. But yeah, it was a shocker, and now the question ultimately is, what does the future hold for Cam? And that's really what everybody's been asking over the last week. And the question, and really what it looks like, he's obviously not going to start the season with anybody. There was speculation that he would go to Dallas as a backup for Dak, which, and I said this on my Instagram and I said this on Twitter, it actually would have made sense because, say what you want about Dallas. They are a very good offense on paper, for whatever that's worth, and they're very Dak oriented. If anything happens to Dak, they're fucked. Cooper Rush ain't gonna do it. Will Grier, former Panther, he ain't gonna do it. They have to have somebody somewhat solid or competent in that role to run the offense, at least game manage. And I think Cam would have been great for that because he's not going to be a starter anywhere right now unless somebody gets hurt. And that's ultimately what he's probably going to have to wait for if he wants to get back in the league this year anyway. Who the hell knows what next year holds for him. But I thought Dallas made sense because of that reason. And, the big discussion has been Cam it doesn't look right for him to be a backup quarterback. It doesn't feel right for him to be a backup quarterback. He's too big of a name. He's too good. And by the way, he's my favorite player. But if you really want to get back in the league with where Cam Newton is, nobody's too fucking good to be a backup if that's where you're at right now. I don't care who it is. Yes, it may look funky because you're Cam. It might look weird. But at the end of the day, it is where it is right now, and a lot of times we tend to get caught up in yesterday or years past or events prior, and we shit on the current situation. And that situation is Cam. He's been kind of outcast by the league now, and so he's going to have to work his way back in. I'm not saying he can never be a starter again. But when he gets back in, again, unless he's taken over somebody who got hurt, he ain't going to be a starter right now, not this year. So, and that's coming from a diehard Cam Newton fan. So, I thought the one place that it felt or looked right, if that's what you're looking at, for him to be a backup somewhere was Dallas. Because, again, it's Hollywood, Texas. It's the biggest brand in sports, period. Not just the NFL, not just in America. In the world, it's the biggest brand in sports. So, they made it clear over the last week that they're not going that way. They did pick up Will Grier. Not that means anything, but they're not going with Cam. And Cam Newton is probably going to, if he wants to get back in the league. And that's the big point I wanted to make here is that, because I was listening to some segments from some shows, and it just was like, oh, it just wouldn't look right for Cam to be a backup. He should just move on to other things. And by the way, Cam has a rich, rich life after football. Whenever he does decide to move on, I mean, he's a personality, first and foremost. He's got an incredible big personality and brand. Let's just start there. Whether that's in the content space, where he's done a lot already, whether that's in the fashion space, which he's done a lot already, he's going to be just fine in his next page. It's going to be right up there with A-Rod, he's going to be just fine in that next page. But if the guy wants to fucking play football, again, who the hell cares who you are? If he wants to play football, he might have to understand he's going to have to be a backup right now. And if he is okay with that, who the hell cares? And who the hell are you to tell him that he's too big of a name or too good to do that. Because clearly the league has told him he ain't shit right now. So if that's what he wants to, if he wants to play, that's what he's going to have to do. And nobody's too good to pay your dues. I'm not saying he hasn't paid his dues, because he has, but this is his current situation, and he's got some ground to make up. And that's just the reality of the situation. And it's time we start to acknowledge that, as opposed to looking to yesterday or events past on what he did in a previous time. Doesn't matter anymore, clearly, to the league. So, nobody's too good for anything at the end of the day. If Cam wants to play football and he's okay with being a backup, who the fuck are you to tell him, oh, you're too big of a name and too big of a brand to do that? Like, get the fuck out of here. So, let him live. And that's one thing I really wish we would let athletes and big names and public figures do more. Just let them fucking live, man. Like, if this is what somebody wants to do, let them do it. So anyway, that's that. We'll see what happens with Cam, but he's probably going to have to sit until somebody gets hurt. That is it for the Wilbur and Gold show on a Thursday. I'm going to go and probably edit this and clip it up, make a little content for Instagram, TikTok. Hit me up there, Wilbur and Gold, obviously. This has been the Wilbur and Gold show, episode 31. I'm Will Dalton, a.k.a. Wilbur and Gold. Enjoy the game tonight. I'll probably be streaming some Star Wars Battlefront on Twitch around 2 o'clock. I think me and my buddy are going to get on there, maybe a little Apex as well. Catch us there. Catch you here next time. Maybe I'll come back live again tonight during the game. We'll see. See you next time.